What up, everybody? Shawn here with Accelerators Organization, ready to answer your questions. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm just in a good mood today. We are going to answer a bunch of questions today, so let's get this thing started. The first question comes from Brad Coleman. Brad asks, my question is about influencer marketing. When growing your brand, what are your thoughts about international influencers? Would you stay local to the States or use foreign countries and find good influencers? Reason, I have for this good dash cheaper labor, more exposure, good markets, bad, take the idea, steal your concept, any legal items that USA patent wouldn't stand behind. Very confusing the way that you asked this question, Brad, but I'm going to do my best to answer it. I own and operate Carbon Thread Designs, a luxury automobile lifestyle brand and apparel company. I know the car market is huge in other countries such as Germany, UK, etc. Would it be wise to start advertising for overseas sales, find influencers, etc.? Okay. That's a very good question, Brad, and I hate saying it. That's a good question because everything is a good question. How would I answer this if it were me? I always believe in going after the lowest hanging fruit first. The customers that you're going to be able to find the fastest while spending the least amount of money with the best margins in your business. And then getting as much of that market share as you can and then expanding. If you know that it's easier and more profitable for you to do business here in the United States because you're in the United States, I would focus, if it were me, I would focus there first. Lowest hanging fruit. So as you're looking at your ideal client, what is the easiest client to find and get them to do business with you? And that's where I would go first. I do believe that a great influencer marketing strategy is important. However, when you're a one-person operation like you are, it's very difficult to do it all. And especially when you're on a limited budget. And even if you have investors, which I know that you're going to be working with investors, your investors probably want to see a plan of you attacking the lowest hanging fruit and generating cash flow as soon as possible. That's where I would focus. If that's international, great. If it's in the US, great. Wherever that is for your business, start generating and making sales as soon as possible with the easiest customers you can find. Hope that helps. And remember, when you ask a question in the portal, ask your question in the first field and then the description behind it in the second field. So your question could have been, should I target customers outside the United States or only in the United States when I first start my business? Then you could give in the description what it is you were asking, and that helps with us answering the questions, okay? Hope that helps, Brad. What's up, Miss Shelley? Okay, the next question comes from Kimberly Vincent, and Kimberly says, how do I recruit more massage therapists into my team when I'm hearing that the word on the street, small town, is that I am hard to work for based on these two past employees? The background is, I've owned my massage therapy and wellness clinic in a smaller city for nearly 20 years. We have an excellent reputation for the work we do for our clients. I have always done my very best to support my staff. About a year ago, I hired two friends who over time became difficult to lead, and I struggled to keep them happy, although I didn't want to let them go because they were busy and created decent revenue for the clinic. Eventually, the relationships deteriorated and they both left my clinic, but not without taking to social media and word of mouth afterwards with complaints and even falsehoods about me as a boss and therapist. To the point I had to issue cease and desist letters from my attorney's office. In a small town, these things can cause serious impact. Now, 6 months later, as I'm struggling to grow my team again, I'm hearing that possible candidates aren't applying because they've heard that I am hard to work for. I'm really struggling with this because I know I did everything I could for them and it still ended badly. I need to grow my team. I appreciate your advice and taking time to answer my question. This is a very difficult one and one that I don't have any experience with, Kimberly. So let me see if I can give you any words of advice that I would do if I were you. One of the things that I could do is hire a PR person, like a public relations person, and get out and start getting involved in the community, do some press releases, get some great imagery and branding of your location and the team that you do have now. Make sure the photographs are all of you guys smiling, doing community events, participating in non-profit food drives or giving your services away, and just doing things that are going to make you look good in the community, so that people can know that that you guys are good people. Those are some things that you could do. You could host, free events educating people on the benefits of nutrition and food and therapy that you guys provide. So anything and everything that you could do to continue the outreach in the community. And then the next thing is when somebody is going to apply to work at your company, just keep that in mind. To not address, if it were me, I wouldn't address it. I wouldn't, come out and directly talk about the negative info that's out in the community. But I would go over and above and beyond to be super nice, super respectful, and really build that super brand. Brittany Hodak here in our group, she is the queen at building a brand that people love and become super fans of. And you should go to BrittanyHodak.com and you should go through her 5-day little video series, not little, sorry, Brittany, her 5-day video series of how to create super fans. And think about all your customers. If you're really over exceeding and creating raving fans, super fans out of your customers, then they should be spreading the word in the community for you of how amazing Serenity Spa is, right? So you can engage your team, your customers, public relations to really do a great blitz to let the community know how amazing you and your company are. So those are some ideas, and I hope those help you, okay? Okay, the next question comes from Jake Carlisle. And Jake says, how do I make big time connections? The background is I feel like I would not belong with the big boys, at least not yet, because I haven't done much. I feel like they wouldn't take me seriously. Real estate. Well, listen, I've built a $20 million company and I think it's fantastic. And then I go to dinner with Tom, and Tom's built a $1 billion company and he's worth so much more than me. But when you're confident in who you are, Jake, and what you do represent, that's the most important thing that I have found in networking with wealthy people, successful people, celebrities. They're all just normal people. It doesn't matter how much money or notoriety or fame somebody has. At the end of the day, they're still people. Because there are people that have not a lot of money who are very arrogant and egotistical and rude. And there are people that are famous and wealthy that are arrogant and rude. And then there's the opposite. In both categories, there are people that are amazing and nice and respectful. So your confidence comes from within. It's the power of just of consistently believing in yourself. Don't be afraid to network. Know what your strengths are. As Tom Black always says, make sure that you know how to ask some quick rapport building questions and networking questions when you meet somebody. Tom always says, where are you from? How long have you been in Nashville? What brought you here? What do you do for work that you can tell us about? What do you do for fun? Tom is the king of knowing how to open up dialogue and get people talking about themselves And that gets the law of reciprocity going, which is covered in his Pro Code sales videos in the portal. If you ask somebody a lot of questions about them, then the law of reciprocity kicks in, and they, by law, have to ask about you and where you're from and what you do for a living and connect. So have confidence in who you are and what you represent. Don't worry about the balance in your checking account, the balance of the awards and rewards and accolades and things. Don't worry about all that. Just be a good person and be confident in who you are. And anybody, regardless of the amount of wealth or success they have, they're going to appreciate you. Okay? I hope that helps, man. Easier said than done, right? Okay, the next question comes from Mark McDowell. And Mark says, I'm looking to update my business card. Currently, I have a template type card. I like it, but I want something different. We've all seen the scene in American Psycho where they show off their cards and they all look basically the same. Are business cards really as important of a tool as they used to be? What kind of things can I include on the card to make them really stand out, and is the investment worth it? The background is commercial and personal insurance focuses mostly on small to medium-sized businesses. Okay, so first off, Mark, in the first field, ask your question. So the question might be, are business cards these days important, and what can I do to make mine stand out? That would be your question. And then give the rest of the background in the second field. And then the commercial and personal insurance focuses on small to medium business. That would be your elevator pitch. So you could put that in the elevator pitch of the portal. Okay, so first off, I've never seen American Psycho. So I'm debunking that we've all seen it, because I haven't seen American Psycho, but now I need to go watch that movie. Personally, this is just a personal experience sharing. I hate business cards. I have some really, 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 really nice personal business cards. Like some really, really nice ones. And then I have it embossed, like mine is embossed. It's really light, thick. People grab it and they do like it. But I am not a big business card person. In fact, I don't like it when someone hands me a business card. It makes me uncomfortable because all I want to do is give it back to them and just say, can you just give me your phone number or text me, and then you're in my phone, and because I'm just going to throw away the card. And my cards were $1 a piece, and I rarely hand them out. I probably need to get better at that. But I think a business card is just very important to look professional. Have your best contact information on there. I even put my social media on there, since I'm on social media a lot. Very simple. There's so many different things. In industries, it's different. In the insurance industry, giving out a business card is really important. So I would want it to be professional looking, represent my brand. I'd want a good logo. And so I'd want a good layout. This is my layout. It's a very simple layout. But that's it. I mean, very simple. I don't think a lot of people judge people these days just on business cards. And I'm going to stretch my imagination far enough to put my mind in the insurance buyer type of category. And I used to sell insurance. I don't think I ever had anybody do business with me or not do business with me because of what my business card looked like. It was more about my personality, my salesmanship, my solving their problems, and doing a good job for them as an insurance agent, insurance professional. Okay, I hope that helps, man. Okay, the next question comes from Yolindy. And Yolindy says, what is the best way to raise capital during the early stages of your business? The background is, we produce and sell decorative pillow covers. We want to expand by manufacturing pillow inserts. We resell inserts at the moment, and it's about 50% of our monthly income. Making these ourselves will drive our cost down to a third of the current cost and save on shipping to us. This will give us a very competitive advantage on our Amazon and Walmart marketplaces. Purchasing the equipment and raw stock will be around $90,000 with a retail value of over $700,000. So it will leave a lot of room for us to offer wholesale pricing. We will be the only manufacturer in the Valley, which is a huge market advantage. Who do I approach? Venture capital, angel investor, private investor. I have my business plan, projections, last 2-year financials, business assets all ready to go. Okay. Venture capital, no, you're too small. Angel investor / private investor, yes. But if you're talking about only needing to borrow $90,000 or raise funds of $90,000, personally, I would not look for an investor to exchange equity. I would look to where I could find someone that would loan the money to me. I would look at a bank. If you've got 2 years of financial statements, I would try to work with your bank or the SBA or somebody like that. I'm going to make sure that Mark Kramer and Dan Abate, I keep wanting to say Abate, but Dan, and I'm going to get this to a couple other mentors, but I can't imagine that there's not funding out there for you to be able to do this. I mean, heck, there might be a couple mentors that you might be able to reach out to. I'm certainly not soliciting, but $90,000, if you can show the pattern of how this is going to increase revenues within the first year like that, those are certainly the types of deals that small investors are looking for from a debt perspective, but I certainly wouldn't give equity for only $90,000. I would do debt, and interest rate might be somewhere in the 12 to 15% range. Especially if you could pay it off in a year or two, would be great. So yeah, that's what I would do. But I would look to get with Mark Kramer, who's a mentor, and let him look over your business plan. I know this is going to be a stretch for you, but I think he charges $300 to review your business plan and critique it for you. It would be definitely great money spent. So if you would like that introduction directly to Mark for that, I will get him to answer your question, but if you would like an email introduction, just shoot Shirley an email to concierge@askamillionaire.com, and we'll make sure and connect you with Mark so he can review your business plan. But that's what I would do, Yolandi. I think that with what you're saying, you are a prime candidate for either an individual debt financier or even working with some banks or some alternative funding methods. And Mark would know a bunch of those types. Okay? I hope that helps. Anybody watching this, if you have comments and you want to help, go for it as well. Okay, Renee Plant, who I talk to almost every day, my coaching client. She is killing it. Renee says, what is the best way to create a successful marketing strategy? My sales are up and down. I know it because I do not have a consistency in this. It is difficult to set exact times to do things every week based around my 5-month-old and the varying daily nap schedule, but I have to figure a way around this. The background is I teach hairstylists how to style bridal hair and how to run a successful bridal hairstyling business. Prior to COVID, I traveled all around the U.S. teaching bridal styling classes. I now have 2 online courses, Bridal Beauty Confidence, teaching stylists everything they need to know about how to create beautiful bridal styles with ease, and Bridal Business Confidence, teaching stylists how to start and have a successful bridal hairstyling business. I have a large following, over 72,000 followers on Instagram, and my numbers and sales are not lining up to what I know they could potentially be. Okay, so you and I are talking about this specifically in developing your brand strategy, your new brand identity kit, so that we can start building out kind of an AO type of business model to where you can start charging for sharing your expertise and maybe even bringing in other experts like we have in AO and building a subscription model to your business. In order to create a successful marketing strategy, it's very important to know who your ideal customer is and where they are, and then figure out how do you get in front of them. What type of advertisements do you do? Is it magazine, radio, billboards, social media, Google, YouTube, Pinterest? Where are the ways that your customers are looking to buy your products and services? Is it trade shows? Is it business publications? We want to know where our customers are going to make a decision to buy something that we sell and choose to buy from us as opposed to somebody else. So in creating a successful marketing strategy, I'm going to have to maybe have Peter Kozadoy answer this one because he's more of a marketing person, and I know that also Mark Kramer is, so I'll make sure he answers. But that's where I would start, figuring out where my customers are and what publications or what information are they looking to in order to grow their businesses and learn more. And I'd want to be at those points of entry and make sure that my brand name is right there in front of them. A lot of times you can buy lists too. And instead of doing a marketing strategy, you could do a sales strategy, which is where you pick up the phone and you call people. So it all depends on your price points on that as well. We're going to talk a lot more about that as we go through all of your branding stuff too. All right? I will have some more mentors answer that for you. Okay. The next question comes from Morgan Katz. And Morgan says, what recommendations do you have for launching a new product to current clients? Prior to COVID, we were a traditional corporate ticket broker helping companies buy and sell tickets to sports, concerts, and theater. However, we had used this downtime to create a season ticket management software to put all tickets, catering, etc. in one spot versus individual logins. Our estimated launch date is April 1st. So if you're launching a new product to existing clients, I would ask myself, how do you communicate with your existing clients today? And I would want to announce it there. If I had account executives that manage a block of business, I would have my account executive reach out to each individual client to give them a demonstration or get them information about the new product and determine if there's a need there. I also might host some webinars and Zoom events and invite all my customers, and I might do it 3 or 4 times a week for over the span of a few weeks, so that because everybody's going to have different schedules. I might do a recorded webinar and send it to them along with a follow-up email and follow-up phone call campaign to introduce it. I would probably do a mix of all of those things, because everybody's going to have their own way of wanting to learn about it. Some might get your email and watch an hour-long webinar about the new product. Some might get the email and go, well, you know what? I don't have time for that right now, and forget about it. So if you call them and you're like, hey, Shawn, we've got this new product. We really think this can help you. I'm going to be like, cool, well, let's hear about it. And then you could follow up with, after the conversation, I'm going to send you a webinar that gives you even more detail. So that's what I would do. And we did that with my last company all the time. I think selling new and more products to existing customers is a great way to grow your business. Good job, Morgan. Okay. Next question comes from Heather Brockman. And Heather says, how do you know what questions to ask when vetting someone to perform an outsourced task you are not familiar with? Background, I'm looking to outsource my Shopify store for my grooming company, but know nothing about this area. I'm wondering how/where to find the best person for this job, and also what is the best way to pay someone for a position like this. We offer holistic grooming experiences for busy pet owners whose animals are part of the family. Okay, so it sounds like you want to hire someone to manage your Shopify store. So what I would do is for this one in particular, Heather, because you have a good network here in Accelerator's organization, I would ask some people here in the group if they know of anybody. I would try to get a personal recommendation. Like, talk to Stella. I know she does a little bit of Shopify stuff. Gabs might know some stuff. Lindsay Grifka, Edward Morgan, David Fitzmaurice. Who else has Shopify store? Tim Schiffer. So there's quite a few people here in the group. So you might ask them if they have somebody they use, or if they do it themselves, and if they might be able to make a recommendation of who could manage yours. Now, what you could do in that situation is, maybe if those people manage theirs but they don't have time to manage yours, maybe you could engage them to assist you in knowing the things to look for when hiring somebody from, say, Upwork that can manage what you're doing. Upwork is certainly a place that you can get somebody to help you with a Shopify store. But I definitely agree that it's hard to manage somebody if you don't even know how it works in the first place. Because then, you never know if somebody's ripping you off. You don't know if they're really doing a good job. So network with some of those named people here that I just mentioned, and have them work with you on hiring a Shopify person and what it might cost, and go from there. I would certainly, and I'm going to be doing this myself, I would certainly hire someone at the expert level initially with Shopify to get your store set up, to know the layout correctly. And I know your branding is on point. You got all that stuff done. So I would hire someone at the expert level to set everything up and get all the processes done. And then maybe you could hire a virtual assistant to manage the key performance metrics on a monthly basis. Okay. And then just have a Shopify expert consultant that you go to from time to time. So it'd be two separate people. The expert that you would go to for the consultant and strategy, and then a virtual assistant. And Brad's company at Outsourced Access, they certainly can find someone to manage Shopify stores and things like that. Hire someone like that to manage it on an ongoing basis, but then have access to a high-level expert that you get on Upwork. Okay? Hope that helps. And the next question comes from Caleb Coates. What's up, Caleb? We're going to miss you at AO, brother. AO Live. When beginning to look for funding and businesses for sale, should a person form a board of directors beforehand? The background is the question refers to my interest in buying a few businesses of the same niche from different motivated sellers to combine into one business. With my lack of experience in this, I thought a board of directors with knowledge would be of assistance. Okay, opinions might vary on this one, but I'm going to share mine. I don't think that a board of directors is the appropriate type of forum for you to build for this type of thing. For this type of thing, it would be more of, if anything, a board of advisors. And it's not technically a formal board of advisors. Dan Abate here in the group, 100%. He buys businesses, sell businesses, invests in business. Dan would be the perfect person for you to hire for a couple months as you're going through this process. Send me an email and I'll put you in touch with Dan. I think it would be the best money you could spend. Mark Kramer also, he does stuff like this. So maybe you could talk to both of those guys and choose which one would be best for you, or maybe see if both of them could help you because they might have different experience sharing and advice. But Mark and Dan would certainly be the only two people I think that you would need, with the only exception of being possibly Jeff Bruno, who is an outsourced CFO. And obviously a lot of this stuff is going to have to do with financials. And I know Dan and Mark both have experience with that. But Jeff might be able to help you there as well. But it's not a formal board of advisors, and it's not a formal board of directors for sure. Okay? Good question, man. Okay, the next question, and it's the last question, comes from Abraham Marcos. Abraham says, how do I come up with my standard operating procedures and processes? Background is I don't have any besides in our head as to how we all do things, and would really like to make things easier for all of us. I feel this would give us clarity to keep growing and teach how we do things as a team. I have an air conditioning and heating service business in the Los Angeles, Hollywood, San Fernando Valley areas. Thanks in advance. Okay, this is fantastic. So there's a software that I use, actually a couple. I use Loom to record my screen share on my computer to document things that I do, and that way I have it in video form. And then to supplement the video and put it into written processes, I use one of our vendor partners, Trainual, Trainual, trainual.com, and our discount code is capital A, capital O -10, gets you 10% off, and I document all my processes in Trainual. Now you could do this in Google Docs or something like that as well. I personally think for the $100 a month that Trainual is worth it. And when you're here in Nashville, we may go over some of that with business processes because Dan's going to be talking about business processes at AO Live. But that's how you do it. Once you can learn how to to document and do videos of the first few processes, once you learn how to do it, then it's easy to do the rest. It's really just making the time to get the stuff out of your head and put it out on paper or in a video. That's why I love recording video and then sending that over to my virtual assistant, which I think you've been looking at possibly getting a virtual assistant maybe, but getting that over to some administrative person and telling them to document the processes for everything that we do. Very important for your business as you grow, Abraham. Okay. That is all the questions for today. Boy, a bunch of questions. I love that. Hope you guys have a great day. Shelly, Brad, good to see you guys in here. And to make sure you guys remember, after I press the end live button, Honey, my assistant, this is a process, Abraham. Honey, my assistant is going to download this video on Facebook, upload it to YouTube. I am going to forward her all of these email questions that came in, tell her what mentors I want to answer it, and then she is going to take all of the mentors that I say I want to answer it, put it into this elaborate Excel spreadsheet that we use, and she's going to find your question, bookmark it on YouTube, and use our process, our templated process, to email you your question and your answer with a direct link to the YouTube video, and she's going to do all of that. So all I had to do was do this live stream, press end, forward the emails to her, let her know what mentors to do, and then I'm done. The rest of the processes and everything, a couple hours of work, Honey takes care of it, and all of it works for you guys here in the organization. And that's part of documenting processes and delegating. Now what I can do is I can go pick up the phone and start calling new customers. I can do a live stream to promote my brand. I could be focusing on revenue generating activities during that 2 hours that she's spending doing all these documenting procedures, and I can be out doing revenue generating opportunities. She also creates a transcript and an audio file of the video to put onto our SoundCloud podcast. So all of that happens behind the scenes without me even having to be involved. That is what's going to help you when you get to doing that in your business, when you can focus on revenue generating opportunities. That's how you can really start scaling your business. All right. Have a great day, morning or night, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you later.